Hey girlies, just a quick reminder before we dive into today's episode. The information shared on this podcast is intended to be general sports nutrition advice and education related to period recovery for female athletes. This is not specific to any one individual, and it may or may not apply to your situation. If you are looking for personalized guidance, be sure to apply to our RBSN Period Recovery Nutrition Coaching Program. Our 4-month period recovery program is designed to help you sustainably get your period back and keep it. You can apply now to get started in our program, and we'll leave the link for the program below. This is the Eat More Carbs Podcast. Hello and welcome back. This is the Eat More Carbs Podcast. We're Reilly Beatty Sports Nutrition, and we're a team of dietitians, and we talk every Thursday about sports nutrition for the girlies. I'm Jenna, and I'm the host of this podcast.
And I'm Reilly. I'm the founder of Reilly Beatty Sports Nutrition. We like to call it around here RBSN.
We're super excited to talk with y'all today. Before we get into today's episode, we are going to do our high and low, so sharing just a little bit about our week, the good, and the parts we wish had gone a little bit differently. Reilly, as always, can you kick us off?
So excited about today's episode, and my high actually has to do with today's episode because today we're talking with Lilly. Lilly's my high. She's just so awesome. Lilly's been with RBSN since May, and she's moved into a full-time role in September. I know that you all are just kind of getting to know Lilly, but I know that you agree with this, Jenna, but Lilly's just the best.
Lilly is the best. Lilly is the best.
And I'm so proud of her. She was an intern with RBSN for 2 years before she became a contract employee. And then she became full-time at RBSN a couple of months ago. And she is just so awesome. She does so much amazing work behind the scenes at RBSN. And then now that she has her own clients, she's just doing such a great job with them. And they're getting their period back and they are just doing so well. And she doesn't know that we're talking about her today, but huge shout out to Lilly.
I'm going to echo that. Big shout out to Lilly. She does so much. She also has clients that love her, and I just wish everybody got to know her as much as we know her because she is such an amazing person.
Yes. And you and I talk about this all the time, but one of our goals for 2026 was to hire Lilly, and we were able to do that in 2025. So I think that's just a really big high for me and kind of just a high for the year, kind of ending up as now we're obviously at the end of 2025, which is crazy.
Yes, it is wild that we're close to the end of 2025, but Lilly didn't know that one of our internal goals was to hire her. And I think that we both were so excited when she was oh yes, I would like to work at RBSN. We were oh my goodness, she wants to work here, because obviously we weren't going to force her to work with us, but it was so exciting because we wanted her specifically as the dietitian at RBSN.
Yeah, I know. And don't worry guys, we did not pressure Lilly into working at RBSN. I promise. She came here on her own free will. We love Lilly, Team Lilly, and you guys are going to hear from her today on the episode. So excited about that. My low actually has to do with Charlie. Not that Charlie is a low. She's never a low. She just does some funny things. And I don't know. I have to share this one situation that is ongoing in the house right now. If you were not familiar with Eat More Carbs Podcast or me, I ran the New York City Marathon at the beginning of November. So my husband, Robs, and I, we went to New York City for a couple of days. And then Charlie, my daughter, stayed here with my parents at my house in North Carolina. Girlie did great. She's an independent woman. She did start to kind of miss us on the last couple of days that we were gone. So we brought back a little gift for her. We brought back this sloth. And I should have grabbed it so I could have showed you. But we brought back this sloth that has the I Heart New York. Everybody knows what that looks like. We were so excited because she loves animals. She has all of her little stuffed animals in her room, and she, sleeps with a couple of them and all that stuff. And we were so excited to give it to her. And she hates the sloth. She is not a sloth girl at all. She literally walks around the house being no sloth, no sloth, no sloth. And we keep trying to insert it in different places because you're come on, like the sloth. And she is no sloth, no sloth. And we'll put it different places. Is I don't like the sloth at all, Mom.
Wait, that's so wild.
Wait, let me go get it. It's so cute. I'm going to show it to you.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Oh, it is so cute.
I know.
Oh my gosh, wait, that's so cute. Do you think that she doesn't like it because it's associated with you guys leaving and coming back?
I think so. Because I keep trying to put it, we do a little tea party thing. So we put all of her animals in the circle, and she'd be no sloth. She's so aware that she's no sloth. No sloth. If you talk to her, you would hear the no sloth. And I'm okay, ma'am. No sloth.
The sloth will be away.
Ravi and I will sometimes hug it and be oh, sloth, or like we'll put it between us and like give it a hug. And she's, no sloth.
She is not a fan.
It's so sad, but
Oh.
it's fine. One day she'll like the sloth.
Yes, she will.
Yes. How are you? How's everybody?
Everybody's good. This week is good. I am really excited to share my high with you because it's kind of a compliment to both of us. I have a client. She is the sweetest. She always asks me like how I'm doing, things like that whenever we get on a call. And I'm like, we're here to talk about you. And the other day we were on a call and she was like, I was listening to the podcast and you and Reilly were talking about how old you were. And she was like, I didn't think it was possible for you guys to be that age. She was like, I was convinced you were like 26. And that was the best compliment I have received in years. I was like, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. I'll be sharing my skincare secrets. Like, I can walk out of this day as like the happiest person ever because like we are no longer 26. I was like thrilled. Like, that is such a nice compliment when you are 30s and and someone thinks you're in your 20s.
Okay, this is the issue though. Is it because of what we look like or because how we act?
You know, I'm not going to clarify. I'm going to go with that it's because of what we look like because that's what I want to believe.
Yes, that's what I'm going with too. Okay, thank you, her.
So that's my high, is that
VIP.
We are youthful. Yeah, exactly. So from my youth, one of the things that I like to do during the day, this is my low, is occasionally if it's a beautiful day, I will get up and I will take a walk. Just clear my mind, walk around the neighborhood, not a long walk or anything like that, just to get some fresh air and some sunshine. On a particular day, I decided that I was going to call my mom and talk to her through my headphones because I was like, I'm going to walk for 15 minutes, just do the little loop around the neighborhood, say hello to my mom, just catch up for a minute. I still can't believe this happened. So I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm going to say I'm complaining about something. I am complaining about something. And all of a sudden, I feel a very sharp pain in the back of like right below my calf muscle on the back of my leg. And I drop some big cuss words. And my mom is immediately like, okay, Jenna, like I understand, but like that's a little bit of a heated reaction. And I smacked the back of my leg because I immediately knew it was something. Do you remember how I was being chased around by that freaking hornet all summer long? It got me.
And nature.
Something is wrong. I am not right with the animal world here. I don't know what's going on, but oh my gosh, Reilly, I felt it between my fingers and then it flew off. Then of course I'm like, oh my gosh, because I have some food allergies and my mom is allergic to hornet stings. And so she was like, you need to get home immediately. She's like, you need to take Benadryl, like you need to get back home. And I was like, I work until 8 p.m. tonight. Like that is not an option for me. And she was like, when I got stung by a hornet, she's like, my entire leg swelled up. Let me tell you, I don't know that I'm allergic, but my reaction was pretty strong. And I still have like a big red mark on the back of my leg that itches so badly. The like stinger was stuck in my leg. I had to pull it out. I have a picture of it. It stung and hurt so bad. Like my leg swelled so much that like when I took a step, like it felt tight all the way up the back of my leg.
Okay, Jenna, I think 2026 is going to be your year.
Gosh, I hope so. Isn't that wild? I couldn't believe it happened. I would like lift my leg up and show you the back of my leg right now, but then my foot would be in the screen and that's like definitely not what I'm putting online is pictures of my feet. But yeah, that's what happened. I will send you pictures offline of my hornet attack.
That stuff hurts.
It does. Not fun.
I remember when I was walking into my interview at UCLA, I got stung by a bee.
No, you didn't. Wait, maybe it's good luck then because you got that job.
I did get that job, even though my arm had swollen. I was like, had tears in my eyes and I love to fuel.
They're like, ma'am, are you okay? And you're like, yep, everything is fine.
Yep.
I did not know that. It got you on the arm?
It got me in the arm, yeah. I remember because I was like, ow. And then I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, they're like, well, come on in. And I'm like, okay. I can do hard things. Yeah, no, it hurts. Like I would have also said some cuss words. I did say some cuss words, but
oh yeah, I like screamed them out loud, and my mom was literally like, "Okay, that seems like a little bit of a harsh reaction for what you're complaining about." Which, in all fairness, it was. Like my mom was 100% right. That was a very strong reaction to what I was complaining about, but not as strong enough reaction to being stung by a hornet.
I'm glad your leg is okay.
Yeah, me too. It's still there.
Maybe you're mildly allergic.
Maybe, but I also don't know because then, of course, like I have a MD from ChatGPT now about hornet stings, and apparently they can last several days for the reaction to subside. I might have a few more days of this.
Only you didn't live with a physician.
Right? Yeah. I like texted him and I was like, the hornet got me. And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like sending him a picture of my leg with the stinger hanging out of it. Do you want to see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I also love that we can't share like life updates with each other like live because we're like, we have to save them for the podcast.
Do you see
Oh
that?
my God, Jenna.
It got me good. I'll
thought
take
you
a picture and
survived.
show you the back of my leg. So that's Milo. We are talking, though, about different approaches to period recovery. So today we're having Lilly on the podcast talking through a case study for an athlete that we worked with here at RBSN that actually got her period back. I love these episodes. I think it's so much fun to talk kind of a little bit about like what we do behind the scenes with the athletes we work with, but also just like highlight the success. Today we're actually talking through one of Lilly's clients. If you haven't met Lilly yet, she is one of our performance dietitians here at RBSN. Before we kind of talk about her specific athlete, for confidentiality, some of the details have been altered just to protect our client. Lilly, we're super excited to talk with you today.
Super excited to chat with y'all.
Before we jump in, I just want to quickly kind of clarify something too, because we are talking about the all-in approach today, and we are not saying that the all-in approach is not a good approach for some athletes. We are just letting you all know a case study where an athlete tried the all-in approach and it didn't work for them. We work with a lot of athletes at RBSN. Some of them will attempt the all-in approach and it works for them, some like a different approach. That's our whole thing here at RBSN, is we're really focused on helping you find the right approach for you. A lot of athletes are really nervous to start this journey because they are worried that they're going to have to stop exercise. As Lilly always says, now they have to turn their life upside down. That is not what we're trying to do when we share this episode with you and when we work with you in our period recovery program. Again, everybody is going to be different, and I just really want to clarify about that because I personally have spoken out a lot about how the all-in approach like isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, and I think it confuses some people since a lot of the time the all-in approach is kind of the gold standard for getting your period back. And within our program here, we do work with a lot of individuals, and a lot of them don't follow that approach. All right, Lilly, why don't you share a little bit about the athlete that you worked with? What's this athlete's background and what was happening when she first came to you?
Yeah, for sure. So this athlete is a competitive athlete, but more of a recreational competitive athlete. So she's in that post-grad era. She's training for a high rocks race. So that was when we first met. That's what her goal was. She had already signed up for her race. She couldn't stop training. She wasn't going to back out. She came to us wanting to try and get her period back while still training. And so we kind of had to go at it with knowing that there were some aspects of her training that were non-negotiable, and she had to fit in fueling to match her training.
We get a lot of athletes that apply to work with RBSN because they're in situations similar to this particular client where they've either signed up for a race or they have a commitment to a school program or they're running competitively and they cannot take a break from training. It's not an option for them. But what were some of the main concerns that you noticed for her specifically when she first came to work with you?
I would say one of the main drivers of hers was that she wasn't making progress in her training. She had no energy all the time, and she wasn't recovering well. She was having trouble like having hard training sessions within days of each other because she was sore for like a week, and that isn't conducive to then training to do a race. She was having issues with sleep. She was having issues with recovery, and she came to us really afraid that we were going to tell her that she needed to stop training. And so exploring that and hearing that she didn't have to lose that training side was something that she was really excited to hear, but it was one of her main concerns going into this journey.
Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like when you look online, there's a lot of conversation about like the all-in approach. So before we talk about if that was the right approach for this athlete or not, Lilly, can you share what the all-in approach is?
Yeah, so the all-in approach is kind of a way of getting your period back. Take out training and you increase your food, which of course makes sense for us to get out of low energy availability because we're correcting that energy deficit by taking away that energy output that we're putting into training and increasing the intake. And it might not be at the same level that you increase intake as if you were training.
Is there a specific energy intake that people are usually trying to hit with this approach?
Usually around that like 2,500 calorie mark is kind of the calorie goal for the all-in approach.
So with working with this athlete, did you feel like the all-in approach was the right approach for her here, or did you decide to take a different way of going about things?
Yeah, so I had briefly mentioned that she was training for something. She had a specific goal in mind. So it wasn't the right approach for her because even if she had done the all-in approach and say she got her period back in 4 weeks, she still would have to then increase her training, and her training would be even harder then because she would have a shorter amount of time to prepare for her race. And she also would go back to likely old habits, because even if she was eating 2,500 calories with the training she would need to be doing, it likely would not be enough.
So it sounds like the all-in approach just didn't provide the sustainability for her to continue to train after she got her period back.
Exactly. And I think, of course, we want our periods back. That's what drives people to do one-on-one coaching or get some help with it. But a big part of it is keeping it. And so if you have goals that might stray away from what you're doing when you are trying to get your period back, you have to learn how to be sustainable with it and keep your period even when your goals change.
I think a big thing that you said that would resonate with a lot of people is that if you hit a certain caloric intake for not training, and then you were to increase training without then also increasing fueling or learning how to appropriately fuel for your training, then it makes sense that we would then again be in a negative energy balance.
Yeah, because it's all about working on that balance. We have to make sure that we aren't negative, because that's when we start downregulating different systems in our body. So no matter what your life looks like, you can downregulate, even if you're training a bunch or even if you're not.
What did working with her look like that allowed her continue to train and work towards her goal of getting her period back?
Yeah, so I think education was a big part of it, because she was so sure that she was going to have to cut back on training and not be able to do the things that she liked. So building awareness of what her body needs when we're in these high training intensity blocks, and also kind of focusing on that why. Like, you want to be successful in your performance. You want to hit these goals. How does period recovery fit into that? And how can we increase your fueling to match that, even though we are going to keep training?
Did the idea of the all-in approach or potentially having to stop training altogether ever deter her from attempting to work towards period recovery?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, especially when we're starting at a place where her initial intake was very, very low. So matching her training needs was already higher than what she had been seeing online of the 2,500 calories a day. She had that number stuck in her mind that it was hard for her to go over that. So working on that mindset of that she's different than someone who's doing nothing all day and cutting out training, it also kind of challenged her a little bit to think about what she really wanted. And she realized what she really wanted was to run this race. She didn't want to give up her training.
So you all decided that the all-in approach wouldn't work for her. What were some of the things that you decided to implement with her? Because I think a lot of the times, people hear us talking about on this podcast, okay, hey, you don't have to, do all in, but you do have to make changes.
Yeah, of course. Your period's not magically going to come back by you deciding to start working towards it. You do have to make changes, especially when we're at training. Of course, having recovery days was really, really important for her. Although she had this set date that was her race, she still had to recover. And we also really focused on around training fueling. So making sure that we're having a good pre and post, which are just great fueling opportunities for us to take advantage of, especially when she already felt like her meals were a lot. So first focusing on her pre and post was really important. And then we later were able to modify her meals as her hunger cues and everything started to wake back up.
I think it's a good place to start with a lot of athletes is around training, because it's really clear to see the benefit, understand the why behind changing those things. And it sounds like those types of things really resonated with her, where she could maybe understand that when we're training, we do need more energy and all of those things, which I think is a really beneficial tool to understanding why we're making the changes that we are during period recovery.
Yes, especially when you can't go back on training and that's the goal you're trying to reach. But period recovery is just a double goal.
I also think too that when you have that training stimulus in there and you have that training purpose, it sometimes can be easier to increase your fueling, especially in the beginning if you're scared to do that, because it gives you a reason. And you never need a reason to fuel your body, but I do think that having that reason or that fueling focus of fueling, before and after training to help benefit your training can be a really great first step for a lot of people.
100%.
So we know that this particular client did end up getting her period back, which is incredible, but what do you think actually helped contribute to making sure that she did recover her cycle?
I think a big thing was making sure that it was consistent and also sustainable. schedule. So she was busy. She wanted to train for this race. So making sure that meals, snacks, pre and post training, and also her sleep was really important that we didn't sacrifice. All of those things fit into what her life already looked like, and she could support her body's demands in training with what she was already doing.
You guys really came up with a plan that like fit into her life versus just giving her a plan that covers kind of a blanket statement of this is what you should do.
Yeah, for sure. And everything's different for what people like and don't like. And sometimes people have a bigger dinner, or some people like breakfast more and things like that. So making sure that we were matching based off of her training needs and also her overall day of intake was really important.
And because these changes were so realistic and they fit into her plan, it sounds like they stuck.
Yes, they did. I mean, she immediately felt different as we started incorporating good fueling habits around training. And so that stuck really easily, especially as her training increased. But once she started to buy in a little bit more and start seeing those results, and she was making progress in her training, it was a lot easier to start making those changes to her meals and snacks as well.
Where is she at now?
So she's still competing. She actually just had her High Rocks race that she did well in, and she's training for another race soon. It's all about keeping her period now, and she's learned the life skills instead of being handed a meal plan that she follows every day of the week. She knows how to modify it based off of what her training looks like in a way that was going to set her back and not take her period away again.
It's like learning how to fuel for her movement versus just fueling.
Yes, you have to fuel your training, especially when you aren't wanting to do something like the all-in. Fueling has to change.
We have a lot of athletes who are listening who might be considering the all-in approach. If they are considering that, what would you want them to understand about the all-in approach versus the approach that you took with this individual athlete?
Yeah, so all-in does work, but it isn't going to work for everyone. So really looking at what your lifestyle is, what your priorities are in life. Do you need movement? Is movement something that is good for your mental health? Is it something that you do as a social activity? There are reasons to want to keep in movement. And so you don't have to sacrifice all of that. There are so many more aspects that go into period recovery than just energy in, energy out. And it's really important to consider all of that and look at your lifestyle factors and decide what's best for you, because you can get your period back while still training.
Like Reilly mentioned at the beginning, the all-in approach is definitely a tool that can be used by athletes, but it shouldn't be used as like the universal solution. Every single athlete is different. All of their training is different. Their situation is different. There's definitely athletes that exist in this world that cannot, because of a contract, take time away from sport, and they understand the importance of getting their period back. And those situations should be taken into account when we're looking at like their period recovery journey, because it should be individualized. Just like your training is individualized for your sport. Like a sprinter's training looks very different from the like goalie of a soccer team's training. Those two things are different. So your fueling should be different, and your approach to solving a problem should be different. And there is always more than one way to increase your fueling and make sure that you are in a positive energy balance if you're working towards getting your period back.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot more girls need to hear, and that it isn't one answer.
And that doesn't mean that if you want to work towards period recovery and you don't want to take out movement, that just like Lilly said, nothing else changes. If you want to continue to train while you're working on period recovery, your fueling has to change.
And also too, like just because you're continuing to train, I think a big misconception, a big myth is that you might not have to gain weight. And I want to like quickly address that, because sometimes you have to gain weight to get your body into a healthy place. And I do feel like that is a little bit of a misconception and something that we talk about all the time, because you are going to have to make changes. And this is a little bit of a tough love situation right now, but like this is something that you need to hear, and your body is likely going to have to change, and it might not change a lot. And I think that's another big myth with the all-in approach is you hear, you know, people are like, I didn't work out for 2 months and I gained X amount of pounds and now I don't like my body. I don't feel confident. My performance is crap. And again, like there's not one size fits all. This journey is different for every single person, but like it's important to understand the expectations.
Just because we're continuing to train doesn't mean that we're not going to see changes.
Or you're going to have to make changes.
Right. Yeah. You're going to have to make changes, and it's still going to be hard.
You can do hard things.
I think it just highlights the fact that like the period recovery process should be as unique as the person that is going through it.
100%.
Lilly, do you have any final tips for anyone that is starting or considering the period recovery journey?
I think just reiterating what I said of look at your life and decide what's best for you, because that's all that matters, and what's going to be sustainable to help you keep your period, not just get it back.
And that might be a tough conversation to have with yourself.
So take some time to do it, because you deserve to have the conversation.
Thank you so much, Lilly, for sharing about this particular client that you worked with to help get her period back. If you are listening to this podcast and you are celebrating getting your period back, or you have questions about getting your period back, please leave them in the comments below. We would love to continue to celebrate that big win with you. If you have questions for Reilly, Lilly, or myself, you can always reach out to us and find us online. You can find Reilly at easy.sports.nutrition. You can find Lilly at lillyreimer.nutrition, and you can find me at jenna.fisher.nutrition. We will leave all of our links in the podcast description. Thank you again for listening to this episode. Please make sure you rate, subscribe, and review. And as always, remember to eat more carbs.